The Gemara Maseches Psachim in today's daf recorded something absolutely amazing. Without getting too technical, the Gemara is discussing the halachos, the laws concerning offering up the Karban Pesach, the Paschal Lamb, in a state of ritual impurity. There's a very unique halacha, that whereas in general, when it comes to sacrificial service, it must be performed in absolute tara, absolute purity, there are certain exceptions to this rule. So for example, when it comes to Pesach, and in Meretz Hashem, we have a Beis HaMikdash, and we have to bring the Karban Pesach, the halacha is that if the majority of the Jewish people are in a state of ritual impurity, or in a state of tumah, the Karban Pesach can be offered up in a state of ritual impurity. So the Gemara, this is on Daf Ayin Tesamud Beis, page 79b, in Maseches Psachim, records a fascinating machlokes. The Gemara says, well, what's the definition of majority? So the Gemara quotes two opinions. The first opinion, the opinion of the Rabbanon, of the rabbis, is that afilu echad yasa b'tumah. Even if there's only one more person who is impure than the total number of people who are pure, we consider the majority to be tamei, to be impure, and therefore the Karban Pesach can be offered up in a state of ritual impurity. Even one person could go ahead and shift the scales in the favor of an impure majority. Comes along Rabbi Elazar ben Masin, and he says, no, ein hayochid machriyas atzibur l'tumah. Not true. A majority cannot be established by one person. A majority must be established by at least two or more people. Again, a fascinating machlokes, a fascinating dispute. Who could establish the majority? One person, or do you need at least two or more people? And I think at the root of this dispute is something so much more profound. Because dear friends, imagine for just a moment, it's Pesach, you have to offer up the Paschal Lamb. And it's so close, the scales are so even between the group that's ritually pure, tahar, and the group that's ritually impure, tamei. The scales are even. And the question is, what do you need to tilt the scales? The rabbis say, one person could tilt the scales. Rabbi Elazar ben Masin says, one person can't tilt the scales. You need at least two or more. And what an incredible life lesson. Because what are they really arguing about? They're arguing about the power of the individual to affect change. How much can one person really do? Rabbi Elazar ben Masin says, one person by himself can change reality. One person by himself cannot create new realities for everyone else. One person is just one person. Ein hayochid machriya es hatzibur. The individual cannot affect total change, comprehensive change for the collective. You need at least two or more people to affect cathartic collective change for the collective. For the collective. But the Rabbanan say not true. Afilu yachid machriya. Even an individual, one person, has the ability to impact the collective. Even one person has the ability to tilt the scales. Each and every one of us possesses so much power, possesses so much koach, that we have the ability to tilt the scales of our life and the lives of others in dramatic different directions. So how do we paskin? What's the halacha? So by Hilchos Pesach, and the Rabban paskins in Hilchos Karban Pesach, like the Rabbanan, that if you have one more person who is tamei than the number of people who are tahorim, who are ritually pure, they tilt the scales in the favor, ultimately again, of the ritually impure camp. Because one person can make a difference. But the Rambam doesn't just write this here. You see, the Rambam also writes this concept in Hilchos Tshuva. And the Rambam writes in Hilchos Tshuva that li'olam yira adam es atzmo chetziav zakai v'chetziav kaib. Person should always view himself, literally translated, as half righteous and half wicked, or half righteous and half culpable. Person should view in his mind, his personalistic scales are exactly even. And therefore the Rambam says, asa mitzvah achos, if a person goes in and does one mitzvah, he tilts his scales in one way. Person chas v'shalom does an aveira, tilts his scales in a different way. I have to view myself in a constant state of equilibrium. And that way, everything I do, big or small, tilts my scales in one way or another. But the Rambam doesn't stop there. The Gemara says, by the way, li'olam yira, a person should always view the world as chetziav chayiv v'chetziav zakai. Person should view the scales, the universal scales, the global scales, as also being in perfect alignment. And therefore the Rambam says something overwhelmingly shocking. The Rambam says, therefore, when I commit a mitzvah, not only do I tilt my own scales, but I tilt the universal scales as well. And conversely, chas v'shalom, if I commit an avera, not only do I tilt my scales, but I tilt the global scales as well. We matter. Each of us makes a difference. So many times we go through life thinking that what we do doesn't matter. And when you begin to think that what you do doesn't matter, we lower expectations of ourselves. I don't have to push myself to become anything great, because who cares? What does it matter? Okay, it's my choice. It's my life. I settle for mediocrity. I'm not impacting anyone but myself, but I am. Because the decisions I make, like the Gemara says over here, the decisions I make, machriya es hatzibur, have an impact not just on who I am, but have an impact on Klal Yisrael, and have an impact on the world. When I choose to do good, I not only tilt my scales, but I tilt the scales of the world. And when I make poor decisions, when I make uninformed decisions, when I settle for mediocrity, when I take the easy way out, when I stop pushing myself, not only do I impact myself, but I impact the world around me. Each of us matters. And what we do matters more than we could ever imagine. So when opportunities to do great things come our way, let's find the courage to seize them, because it tilts my scales, it tilts your scales, it tilts the world's scales. And when we find ourselves at the threshold of temptation, let's find the courage to resist, because that act of resistance, that act of self-control, that act of restraint not only benefits me, but benefits us all. Wishing everyone a wonderful day.